Well, there are so many diets out there. How do you know what's best for you? We've got some thoughts for food.
Not food for thought?
No.
No, we also have the skinny on diets. And this is Chick to Chick. We are. The weather's starting to get nice, and all of a sudden we're all starting to think about swimsuit season and, we've got to drop those winter pounds. What do we need to do? And then that word that I really dislike, diet. I got to go on a diet. I got to do this diet. I got to do that diet. There are so many diets out there. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what half of them mean. I have no clue.
I don't know what they mean either, and I don't like the word diet. But a lot of people do diet, and a lot of people fail at diets, and it's probably because they really don't know what they're doing, or the diet is just restrictive, or it's just not the right one for them. I myself, I like to do blood work. I want to see, what's going on with me. But hey, that's just us. But if we talk to a professional or two, I bet we'll get some really good insight on this. So joining us today is Dr. Cindy West and Erica Lundgren. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Are they ready to get
Are you ready?
The skinny?
Yeah, we want the skinny
diet?
on these diets because there are so many diets out there. I don't like to diet. I don't believe in diets. I think just eat fresh, eat healthy, get some exercise, eat in moderation, and you should be good to go. But I know a lot of people can't do that, can't get into that. Mm-hmm. And there are so many diets out there. So we kind of want to go over all of them. Just bear with us and tell us, for instance, what's the difference between vegan and vegetarian?
Well, it's really a style of eating. So it could be for ethical reasons like animal welfare. It could be for environmental reasons, or it could just simply be for health reasons that somebody would want to follow a vegetarian style or a vegan diet. But really the difference between those two is it is a purely plant-based diet. Of course, I don't like to say, one caveat, I don't like to say diet just because I think it brings up that sort of negative feeling and could create unhealthy connection between, eating food and our bodies. But really, it's a style of eating. So it's a plant-based, mostly plant-based. So we're talking veggies, we're talking fruits, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And then grains, yes. And so then from there, a vegan kind of takes it a little step further. So they're not going to be eating honey or anything like that. And then if you go for a pescatarian, they're going to be adding fish on top of all those other delicious foods that I just spoke of.
I like that you don't like the word diet because we don't like it.
I don't like it either.
So we're going to switch to, the food lifestyles of what's the food lifestyle, right? So what about Mediterranean and then even keto and paleo?
Well, I'll take Mediterranean. So this one probably is the most studied diet. And, research tells us that this diet is probably the most successful. It tends to be probably the most liberal, but it incorporates a lot of healthy vegetables, healthy fats, and certainly meat and animal products, fish, eggs, but that's not the main focus of the diet, right? So you're looking at a pretty broad, all food groups, all comers, but with the basis of the Mediterranean diet being plants and healthy fats and oils and foods that would contain those like nuts and seeds.
I would like to add to that, lifestyle is also part of the Mediterranean way of eating. So like social connections is important, getting enough rest, all stress management techniques, all kind of like what the Mediterranean style culture really embodies as part of that style of eating.
And it's probably, that's a good term, is to say Mediterranean style, because there's also a lot of research that some of the success of Mediterranean eating has to do with these other lifestyle components like socialization and activity and taking that afternoon rest, that it's not just all about food.
Maybe even a little bit of red wine.
You just
a lot of red wine.
You just nailed my chick over here, as she is Mediterranean, and that was exactly how you eat.
So this is the way I was raised, and this is the way I eat. My parents are both Italian immigrants, and so I don't know how to eat any other way. I mean, we didn't have cans in the house when I was growing up. We didn't have Doritos. We didn't have Oreos. We had no processed food. It was all fresh. We ate our big meals early in the day, and then you had a later meal in the evening. And the big thing was go for walks, socialize, get out, talk to people. So that's the way I've lived my life. It's me, because I don't know anything else. And so I agree with what they said. Yeah. It's me. Yeah. It's me, what you described.
So, Flora, I was also raised Italian, and the kitchen was the heart of the home.
Yes.
That's where everybody gathered. Yep. That's where all the socialization took place. And we were kind of raised, it sounds like, the same way, with some very, just very basic food groups that were made into some healthy and delicious meals.
Well, food is love. And the other thing, too, is it was all about moderation. I never, ever, ever remembered like these humongous heapings on the plate that you eat.
That was
to
my
the
family.
point that you're stuffed and you can't. We didn't do that. You ate a little bit of this and you ate a little bit of that. And then, of course, you had to have your salad last, not first.
Wow.
And you know what? I'm not ashamed to say it. My dad gave us wine when we were little itty bitty. I'm not telling you that he poured a full glass of wine, but he let us taste it. And it took the whole mystery out of it. So I didn't have this urge to guzzle wine all the time because it was already introduced into our lifestyle. And to me, it wasn't a big deal.
So we talked about all of these that are great. There's paleo and there's keto. And while we're there, let's throw in intermittent fasting. So who wants to take those?
You want to do
my
keto?
Okay, I'll do keto. So I have a particular issue with keto as it is generally perceived. I think keto is done wrong more than keto is done right. Based on what I see people eating. I think a lot of patients or people consider keto as being fat. You bring on the fat, and it doesn't matter what the source. So it's bacon, it's sausage, it's any kind of meat, and it's sort of stressing the fat from animal sources. And keto actually, all of these diets, if I can digress for a minute, all of these diets have one thing in common, and they are very plant forward. Whether you're talking, vegan vegetarianism or Mediterranean or keto, the focus is on plant food. In the case of keto, the non-starchy vegetables, of course, with some meat, but that's not the main focus. And your fat comes from plant fat. So avocado, coconut, nuts and seeds. Keto often incorporates dairy, eggs. So your fats primarily are from plant sources, as opposed to what I think is a common conception of fat from any source. And I'm going to add another little nuance to keto. Some people, many times keto is used to rein in lipids that are, cholesterols that are out of control, because you're taking away a lot of the grain and carbohydrate source that can cause some lipid issues. But there are people who have lipid metabolism that does not tolerate a keto diet. And if the only way to know that, if you're eating keto, is to get your lipids checked, like you had mentioned, Carrie, about knowing what's your blood work. So not everybody can do keto. And, anybody that's interested in keto really needs to know the proper way to do it.
So what about intermittent fasting now? I know that's a really big one, and you go this long stretch of time without eating. What's that all about?
Well, there's lots of different ways to do intermittent fasting. And one of the ways that you mentioned, these prolonged fasts, maybe we can ping pong back and forth. But I think the most common way, and probably the the most tolerable way to do intermittent fasting is actually something called time-restricted eating, where you fast for a period of time and eat within a certain number of hours of the day. Some would say we all should be doing a 12-hour fast, all of us, so if you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, you don't have breakfast before 8 o'clock in the morning. But the more common therapeutic time-restricted eating patterns are somewhere between maybe 14, 16 hours of fasting, and the rest of the time in that window, you eat the rest of your meals. So kind of a common one is 16-8. You fast 16 hours and then you eat within 8 hours. If you can't do that, 14 hours is pretty good. Everybody should be able to do 12, but you can work your way up from there, anything from 14 to 16. And then you can expand that, of course, to longer periods.
I was just going to add, and definitely like the restricted time eating that Dr. West was speaking of, it's not just about, if you're eating in the 8 hours, it's not like you like all of a sudden at the very end, the last hour, you're going to jam all your calories in. It's really, it's about like spreading it out within those 8 hours. I just wanted to clarify that one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's good clarification. So as we wrap up, if you could leave us with some understanding of how does a person know, how do they find out what really is the best lifestyle of eating for them?
I mean, I think the general, like what I follow is really kind of trying to dial into your own body, like reconnecting with your fullness. So slowing down when you're eating. So takes about 20 minutes for your body to really say, hey, I'm done. Like, I don't need any more, slowing down a little bit more, mindful eating, maybe doing the Mediterranean style of sitting around, enjoying each other's company, actually slowing down, which is like what we all need right now, our fast-paced society. Doing it in like greens, like putting as much greens as you can. I like to look at my plate and be like, how can I add some color? Adding as much color, the deep, rich colors, they're going to give you more nutrients that our body need to get through the day. And then really from there, just making sure you have a little bit of protein and whatever proteins, if it's plant-based, animal protein, whatever is working for you. And then a little bit of healthy fat. So that way on each meal and snack, that way it can get you through the day. So, and then from there, it's really like coming in to see us to, if you want to go a little bit deeper dive to get some labs done to see, we're all different. So the idea is really just personalize it, do discovery, like keep a little journal. If there's something that like, oh man, I just don't feel good. Like maybe you're eating gluten and you just keep a little journal like in your kitchen and take notes. If something doesn't feel good and it's kind of consistent on that, then maybe it's time to reassess and maybe you need to not eat gluten or dairy or any of those allergenic foods, those popular ones.
Yeah, tuning into how you feel. And one more comment and we can finish up is what diet was right for you at a particular time in your life may not be the same diet that's right for you later on. So what worked for you and made you feel good when you were 25 may not be the same way that you want to eat when you're 45 or 55. Mm-hmm. So it's all about tuning in and being aware of how you feel with what you're doing.
That is an
and I think
point.
Also adding the lifestyle aspect of it, like this, I mean, we're whole bodies, we're whole beings, right? So it's about your sleep, your stress management, your movement. So that kind of ties into it all. So if you want to think of it, not really necessarily a diet, but more of a style of your lifestyle, right? It's like everything in your life.
Excellent points.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for bringing all this incredible information to us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We enjoyed it.
At the beginning of the podcast, you said thought about food. And I think that is the message. Yes. Just be more thoughtful about what you're eating. If something is in your closet and is able to last for 6 months, that's not a good thing. Think about that. There are chemicals, additives, and preservatives in that food causing it to last for 6 months. And those are the things that I don't eat. I avoid them.
I know. And as I've always said, mindful eating. Mindful eating. So with that, listen, it's swimsuit season. Don't stress, but think about changing your lifestyle a little bit. And we appreciate you for joining us today. We hope you'll come back to chirp about another topic.